Granny's Wooden Spoon. I am here in the great state of Texas visiting with family members. And we are going to do a tea party. It's a little unusual for Granny, but I think it's going to be fun. I think you're going to enjoy it. You're going to learn how to make a lot of different things. And my wonderful daughter-in-law, Bree, is taking over the wooden spoon today. She's starting with a carrot cake. You guys are really going to love watching her do this. It's really delicious. You're going to like it. You're going to want to make it.
So this recipe I actually found many years ago, and it's over 100-year-old recipe. I've tried to update it a little bit, give it a little modernization, but I love carrot cake, and I have been trying every recipe of carrot cake I possibly can, and nothing comes close to this. And because this is part of our high tea series for little girls, you're going to see that we're not going to just make a cake. We're going to be, at the end, cutting it into little, petite, very dainty mini cakes that will be served with the tea party. So be sure to watch the whole series to see all the components of all the little things we're going to be putting together, including the crafting, the decorating, and of course the recipes to be able to get the tea party going for my daughters, grandma's granddaughters. So let's get started. We have here 2 cups of all-purpose flour. Now, I am really big on organic ingredients, so pretty much most of what I have here is organic. I think it gives it a really great taste. But, of course, you don't have to use organic. You can use whatever you have around the house. So we have 2 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm going to take my mixing bowl here. Just going to dump the 2 cups of flour in there. Set that aside. I have 2 cups of granulated sugar. Into the pot it goes. Now I have 2 teaspoons of baking soda. I'm gonna add that. And 1 teaspoon of baking powder. So this is gonna help give it that nice soft texture. And a ½ teaspoon of salt, just regular iodized salt. Now I like to mix that with a whisk really quickly just to get that going. And basically you just want to whisk it till it's all incorporated. So that. And now the magic part, we're going to add the spices. This is really what gives carrot cake the carroty taste outside of the carrots themselves. Now, the original recipe calls for cinnamon, and you can use any kind of cinnamon you want. Usually most people have that dark brown cinnamon, and there's no real guidelines. Most people would put about 2 teaspoons of cinnamon in there, but depending on your taste, you can add more, you can add less. I usually add a little more, maybe like 2 1/4 teaspoons, pretty much whatever I feel like adding. You can stop there, but I really like that pumpkin pie kind of taste, so I'm gonna add a little bit other things. So you don't have to add this part, but this is some ground ginger. I'm gonna add about 1/4 teaspoon of that.
Heaping teaspoon, Bree? Is that a heaping teaspoon?
Heaping 1/4 teaspoon. Yeah, you can't go wrong with this because it's really to taste at this point. So whatever you like or don't like. But because I like that spicy taste so much, I'm gonna add some pumpkin pie spice on top of that. Let's do, well, my teaspoon won't fit in the bottle, so pour this way, heaping teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice. So mine's gonna be pretty spicy, like pumpkin pie spicy. But if you don't like that, just tone down on the stuff. I'm gonna add maybe about 1/8 teaspoon of allspice. I love the spice, the smell of it. And about 1/8 teaspoon of cloves. Now, cloves is the one you want to be careful about, because if you add too much of that, you're in for some spiciness. So I'm just going to add a little bit of that. But again, you could leave out all of that except for the cinnamon if you want. But don't leave out the cinnamon, because then it's not carrot cake. So I'm just going to mix all that till it's a nice kind of uniform color. I'm going to stick it back in the mixer. I'm going to put this down and I'm going to turn it on low. So it's going on low, and now I have 4 whole eggs. And I have all 4 in here, and you want to kind of let each one go separately if possible. So letting one go You could probably bring this up to a 2 on here. Let that get incorporated. Then, 1, 2, oh well. So I got 2 in there instead of 1. Just let it go. And then the last one, let that go for a sec. Vanilla extract. Very important ingredient, and I know this has gone up in price lately, but I usually add about 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. You could add 1 if you want. It's a little bit to taste.
And you're using real vanilla.
I am using real vanilla extract. You could use the fake stuff, but you'll taste the difference. So I'm gonna just put a couple. And honestly, with vanilla extract, sometimes I don't even measure it. I just splash it in, but I measured it today, so I put in 2 teaspoons. And then I have 1.5 cups of olive oil. Now you could use vegetable oil if you want, pretty much any kind of oil you want. I like olive oil because it's healthier and it's what I have on hand. So I'm gonna just pour that in. So it wouldn't be carrot cake unless you had fresh carrots. So I have 3 cups of shredded fresh carrots here. Now I have organic carrots, but again, you don't have to use organic. But I think the taste is sweeter. So 3 cups shredded. What you don't want to do is buy the pre-shredded carrots from the grocery store. Those are dry. They're not going to give you that moisture that you want. So I'm just going to add these to the mix. And I'm going to start with it on slow to just get everything incorporated. And then I'm going to put it up to medium for a full 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, and that will get the air in it. And it'll be ready to get poured into the pans and popped in the oven. In fact, before I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So, all right, so this has been mixing on about medium-high for probably about 2 minutes or so. Mm-hmm. Good enough. All right, so now I want you to be able to get a picture of what this batter looks like before we put it in the pan, so you kind of know what you're going for. I don't know if you can see this. Can they see that?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay.
Okay, so these are 3-inch pans.
All right, Mom, I think we are ready to throw these in the oven. What do you think?
Great. How long do they have to cook for?
Let's do it. Let's check them at about 30 minutes. You'll know it's done when you stick a toothpick, or I use sometimes just a butter knife. Stick it in there. If it comes out clean, it's ready to be put on a cooling rack and cooled. So here we go. So we're just gonna stick this in here.
Wait.
Right in the middle of the oven, on the middle rack. So I have a clean wooden skewer here, and all you want to do is stick the skewer into the middle of the cake. If it comes out clean with no batter left on it, it's done. And you just want to let them completely cool on a cooling rack, like you see here. After that, I'm going to be wrapping the cooled tins in plastic wrap really tight and putting them in the freezer or maybe even the fridge for a few minutes to let the cakes get cold, because we're going to be cutting these into little circles for our high tea party. Well, our little carrot cakes are looking great. They've been chilling in there, so now's a perfect time to just whip up, literally, our cream cheese frosting. This is so simple. It's just basically 4 ingredients, just whip it together. So I have my mixer here. You can do this by hand or with a hand mixer, but it's gonna be a lot more work. I'm just gonna do it in this mixer. So all we're gonna do for this, I have 8 ounces of cream cheese, and I have it softened, so I've left it out at room temperature for about an hour to get soft. You can use whatever kind of cream cheese you want. This is basically the cheapest I could find. So I'm just gonna put the whole stick in there. That's 8 ounces. I'm also gonna add in 1/2 cup of heavy whipping cream. So I have 1/2 cup measured here. This is one of those great recipes where you basically just dump it all together. I have 2 cups of confectioner's sugar, powdered sugar. Just gonna dump it in there. I didn't even sift it. I took it straight out of the bag. If you prefer, a smoother consistency, you're welcome to sift it before you put it in here. A little left. And finally, 1 stick of butter. So that's 1/2 cup of butter, softened. So again, leave it out at room temperature for an hour or 2. So I sort of broke it up with my fingers into smaller pieces just so it blends easier. And now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna put this on low speed long enough just to incorporate all the ingredients, and then we're gonna slowly turn it up. Eventually, once it's ready, we'll put it on high speed and let it go until it's really fluffy. So we wanna get air in there to make it a nice fluffy, smooth cream cheese frosting. So I'll probably let it go maybe even 5 minutes. You could then turn it down to maybe low for another 5 minutes if you wanted, just depending on how smooth you want this icing to be. We are working on these carrot cakes, but remember, we're doing this for a little kid's high tea party. So we're gonna turn those carrot cakes, which by the way, came out of the oven, they're looking amazing. I have them chilling in the freezer for a little bit to firm up. And so now we're gonna get them ready for the tea party, which means we're gonna be making cute little tiny cakes. And to give some stability to them, and this is totally optional, you don't have to do it, but we're gonna make little pecan pie crust discs to set the little cakes on. And this is so easy. Now, of course, you could do it the hard way. You can make your own crust from scratch. You could use, regular pie crust. You could just skip the step altogether. But I found something that makes it so easy at my local grocery store. This is the Diamond Ready to Use Pecan Pie Crust. And this stuff is actually delicious. It is fairly healthy. It doesn't have some of the ingredients that some of those other kinds of pie crusts have that aren't so good for you. So this is really cool. And it tastes really, really great. And I think it's just gonna make for a very elegant little carrot cake, tea cakes. So all I'm doing for this, I just open up the pie crust, and I've already started one, as you can see, and I'm gonna use circle cutters. So I'm just gonna choose the size that I want my cakes to be. So I'm using this one. Don't quote me on the exact measurement, but I think this is about a 3-inch maybe, or 2.5 inches, but use whatever you want. You can make big ones, you can make smaller ones. And the key here is this is very crumbly, so don't fret if it breaks the first couple times. But really what you want to do is place the sharp side of the cutter onto the pie crust and just kind of twist back and forth until you have a circle you can pick up. So I'm just going to twist it, and you'll probably get some breakage around it, but you should be able to kind of pick it up like this and very gently press until you get your disc out, and you can kind of, fix the edges a little bit. And if your edge breaks a little bit like that one does, don't worry about it, the cake's gonna cover it up, but this will still give a nice crunch to your cake. So I'm gonna do this for a bunch of them, pretty much as I can get out of these pie shells. I have 3 of them here. And by then our cake should be chilled. We'll take it out, and then we're gonna cut the cake to the same shape and start stacking them, making the icing, and then decorating it. And it'll be good to go. So see you in a minute. So all I'm gonna do is take my circle cutter, just like we did with the pie, except it's a little easier with cake. Just push it all the way down. So that makes this nice tall layer. Usually it'll come right out, and you can just push it through and stand it up on the plate, ready to be chilled again. So we're working on our little carrot cakes that we made. They're super cute. They're gonna go on our little pie rounds. We are gonna pipe them with some cream cheese. Cream cheese buttercream that we made that has it's cream cheese, butter, and cream. All
Yeah, you already did a video for that.
Yes.
Oh, right, yes, okay. So make sure you go watch that video. Okay, piping bags and piping tips we got from Dollar Tree. I mean, check this out. From the Dollar Tree. Who knew? So, Bree's gonna cut them in half for me, and I am gonna do my best to make them look good over here with the...
She's an expert piper. I am not, but I'm pretty good at carving cakes. So you're gonna want a serrated knife for carving your cakes. These are frozen, so I actually took them out of the freezer, so they've been freezing a long time. You could have chilled them in the fridge, that would work too. It's just frozen's really nice when you're carving cake because you don't get so many crumbs and having it fall apart. So I'm gonna just saw this right in the middle of the cake. So this will, in other words, we're torting these little cakes so that we can put some icing in the middle. So I'm just gonna hold it and just carve straight down. Just be careful because they are frozen, so you're probably gonna wanna turn them and then turn it and carve straight down. Now you could let them thaw a little more than I did if you want to use them. Now notice that the flat side is where we cut, and of course on the bottoms. To be extra fancy, you probably want to set these up so that the flat side is on the top. So I'm gonna give you these two, and you're gonna be putting some icing onto the pecan circles we made, the pecan pie circles, to let this stick. It'll also hold some of those circles together. And then some icing in the middle. Then put the top layer, icing on top, and then we're gonna decorate it. Now notice that some of these, by the way, are really not flat. If you so desire, you can trim off that and just make them more level. It'll just help with the presentation. You know, we're doing a high tea for the family. If I was gonna do this for, you know, for clients, I would definitely make sure everything was completely level, because it's gonna make a difference in how the thing looks. Look at that, look how beautiful that is. So, Mom, you're using a star tip, right?
Yep, I'm gonna use a star tip for the whole thing.
Awesome. She's really good at it.
Okay, so let's start putting these together.
I really like that cream cheese icing recipe. I've searched for a lot of good ones, and that one definitely
This
takes
is good.
the cake. So you're starting right in the middle, right? And then going, oh no, you start on the outside and then go into the middle. And up and up. That's awesome. Well, Mom, those look great. So she's got the piping almost done on those. We have just some shredded carrot. That was the same carrots we used in the recipe. And we have some fresh mint that smells absolutely wonderful. So while she's working on that, should I go ahead and start sticking a mint leaf on each one? All right, so Mom, you did a great job. I think these are tea party ready. What do you think?
They look good enough to eat.
We'll be plating them onto a fancier plate, but other than that,
It's awesome.
little carrot and cream cheese buttercream mini cakes with pecan crust.